Huh? No Dragon Ball in this video? Yeah, to be completely honest, I got a bit of a Dragon Ball burnout, so I am going back to the roots of my channel for a bit with an anime video about an anime that isn't Dragon Ball this week. So I thought that I would just talk about one of my favorite characters from one of my top 5 favorite franchises of all time for once, actually. For context, my top 5 franchises in any random order are Dragon Ball, Fate, When They Cry, Utawarumono, which I butcher the pronunciation of every single time, but come on, it's a tongue twister. Bite me. And the subject of today's video, the To Aru series. The To Aru series is set in Academy City, a place filled to the brim with various types of espers who all have unique and creative abilities. But it's not just science that exists there. There is also the world of magic that clashes with the science faction every single time. But there is one constant in this chaotic world that always shines at the forefront of the series. Our favorite misfortunate main character, Kamijou Touma, also often called Kamijou-chan. Touma has a unique ability in his right hand which can cancel out all supernatural and scientific powers it touches. But he has a much better use for this hand. You see, Touma is a very progressive guy. He truly believes in total gender equality, and like a certain isekai adventurer, see what I did there? He is not afraid to dropkick a woman, or to be more precise, to give them a right hook with the power of God on his side. To illustrate my point a bit further, take a look at the clips of Touma practicing gender equality.
This is your chance to start over, so don't waste it like an idiot! You're the one who won't face reality, so I'm gonna destroy your illusion!
And I do feel it is necessary to point out that all of these women in these clips you just saw were in fact villains who wanted to do some no-no stuff. So please don't take this as me painting Touma off as a level 99 women hater. Touma is actually a pretty damn cool guy. He is just incredibly unlucky. Remember Touma's special ability, which I literally just discussed a minute ago? It's actually called the Imagine Breaker, and it cancels out all special abilities and powers it comes into contact with. But this also means that just by having his hand exist, it cancels out the literal grace of God himself, causing Touma to be pretty much the unluckiest lucky guy in the entire world. His catchphrase is not "such misfortune for no reason." But what I really like about the To Aru franchise as a whole is that it is a multi-layered franchise where even the smallest side characters play important roles in the lives and stories of other characters. The franchise was originally a light novel franchise, but has since gotten manga and anime adaptations that cover parts of the expansive story this franchise has to offer. In regards to the anime adaptations, you have a certain magical index which covers the story from Touma's perspective, where he fills in the role of the main character. Index has a total of 3 seasons and 1 movie, with Touma being the leading character in all of them. You also have a certain scientific railgun, where the story is seen through the eyes of Misaka Mikoto, with her as the main protagonist. Railgun also has a total of 3 seasons, with Mikoto being the main character of the first 2 seasons and sharing the spotlight of protagonist with Shokuro Misaki during the 3rd season. And you also have the original spin-off series, A Certain Scientific Accelerator, where the story is viewed from the perspective of an antagonist turned protagonist in the form of Accelerator. This is just a 1-season spin-off of, I believe it's 12 or 13 episodes. But the really cool thing is that all of these characters appear in all of the other parts and are a continuous part of the never-ending lore of Academy City. And speaking of Academy City, this has got to be one of my all-time favorite settings for a show in general. An entire city turned into a scientific school district filled with espers who all have incredibly cool abilities. Just think about the infinite possibilities of stories you could think up to take place in a place like Academy City. This franchise really is a fanfiction writer's wet dream. But going back to Touma for a bit, in my opinion, the true quote-unquote main character across the franchise is Kamijou Touma. But I love being able to see the story from the perspectives of other people too. Touma creates very realistic and good relationships with all of these characters, whether they be main characters, side characters, or even characters that only appear once in a blue moon as background characters. He respects them all equally, and that is is a very nice thing to see throughout the story. Touma also really is the definition of your goody two-shoes hero. He will always sacrifice himself for those he holds dear and will never ever give up on his goals. And I realize this is a pretty basic requirement for being considered a heroic character, but you know, bite me. I like it, I like it when the hero is just a hero. He doesn't need to be deep, he's just a good guy, right? But Touma really does pull it off in a way that does not turn him into basic shonen male MC number 8462. Like, he still remains Touma. He's still just a student who does normal student stuff, like playing sports, hanging out with his friends, stressing out for tests, etc. He keeps being himself, which is something I quite enjoy about the To Aru franchise as a whole. Characters don't miraculously turn from evil to good in one arc. People don't suddenly pull new powers out of their ass. The franchise just really does a good job with keeping characters likable, realistic, and just keeping them as themselves. Touma remaining a good but very much normal guy aside from his power is something I really liked a lot more than I thought I would have when going into the series for the first time. Even though he gets dragged into a war between several factions that wish to govern Academy City, he remains an angsty teenager, which you would expect from someone his age. And this is a bit off topic, but I also fancy the fact that almost none of the characters in the To Aru verse look quote-unquote like main characters. They generally look like relatively normal characters. And if you don't get what I mean with this, let's play a quick game of Spot the Main Character. This show is not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Dragon Ball, where the main character can be spotted from miles away. This is yet another reason why I like the franchise and Touma himself so much. He looks like a regular dude you could just encounter during your walk in the park. And this in turn makes him feel a lot more relatable to the viewers, at least it did for me. Looking a bit more generic than your average Yu-Gi-Moto does make it easier to insert myself into Touma and really get engrossed in the world the franchise has to offer. I am 100% convinced that a lot of you guys will also enjoy this franchise with Touma guiding you all through it. But how would you get to even watching this franchise? Similarly to Fate, this franchise is not the easiest ever to just jump into. With all of the manga and anime adaptations the franchise has gotten over the years, it can certainly be a bit tricky to pick a place to begin for newcomers. So in light of helping you guys out for a bit, let me share my preferred watch order of the franchise, and let me note here, this is not the only watch order, but I'll get into that later. So I would start off with Season 1 of a certain magical index. This is, in my opinion, the best place to start the franchise because it introduces a lot of the characters from Railgun as well. It really gives you a solid base. Next up, I recommend you jump over to the Season 1 of Railgun to view a lot of the events from Index from the perspective of Mikoto, and she also has her own story. It's not just a similar story with another perspective, it's a different story altogether. And after that, you should watch Index Season 2, followed by the Endymion movie. This is also a good part to watch the Accelerator spin-off series, but you can also save this one for a bit later. But following this up with Railgun Season 2, after which you can watch Index Season 3, and finally you can watch Railgun Season 3. Like I just said, this is just my preferred watch order. You can also just watch all of Index first and watch all of Railgun, or watch Railgun first, then watch Index, etc. But I would just recommend doing it this way because this gives you like equal amounts of both stories as you progress through the series. And if you are into reading manga a bit more than watching anime, Index, Railgun, and Accelerator all have manga adaptations as well, which are arguably better than the anime, depending on who you ask of course. The manga side also offers several other stories, such as a manga featuring the Item Team as the main characters, a manga featuring Shoko Misaki as the main character, several comedic stories, and a bit more. But the best way to experience the story is still going to be the source material, which in this case is going to be the light novel. But since the franchise is a lot more popular in Japan than it is in the West, finding good quality translations can be a bit tricky. So in order to just have an easy entry into the world of Academy City, I would just recommend casually watching the anime series and reading the manga stories. Personally, I just really like everything that this franchise has to offer, and I hope I may have interested some of you to witness the story of Touma and his friends for yourself. But with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching today's video. As per usual, like every single time, I really do appreciate every single viewer that takes the time out of their day to watch my content, even though not a lot of people will probably watch this video because my channel is pretty Dragon Ball oriented. It still makes me happy that there is maybe a handful of people who still enjoy my content that just covers other anime series than Dragon Ball. Just people enjoy my content, that's pretty much the reason why I do this, right? So if you would like to see more of my content in the future, please consider clicking the subscribe button and turning on all notifications for my channel. I would also really appreciate it if you would consider liking the video and leaving a comment with your thoughts down below. Maybe check out some other videos. I have several playlists on my channel, several just independent videos. So yeah, just check out my content if you want to, of course, and yeah, let me know what you think. And with all that being said, work hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty, and I will see you all again in the next video. Peace out.